So how do we determine which is a good game? What's our checklist we're going through when we're looking at game selection? Betting pace, betting stakes, profile information, all of the other factors, the chip count. No reason to ever sit in a bad game. One of the first things that everybody seems to want to do when they walk into a casino is emulate everything they've seen on TV. They're what I call the TV players. They want to show up with sunglasses and hooded sweatshirts and baseball caps and act like everyone they saw on TV, and they also want to learn how to shuffle chips like it's all of a sudden they have seen the Mariah. What you want to do is spend your time focusing on your opponents. Don't worry about learning how to shuffle chips or learning how to look like the guys on TV. Play the game properly, and let's use the criteria we've gained in the foundation we've built for how do you make your hand decisions. It's based upon the following: betting pace, the betting stakes. Do we get in the right game? Do we make the great game selection that we should have? Is our profile in play? Do we have any information on the players in the game? And this is why we're sitting and playing with them. Are there people in the game we should be watching, paying attention to? Are the people that are easy targets? All of these things we take into consideration, along with the fact that we look at the next, our image. What is our image in the game? Are we on the positive side, meaning we're on offense? Are we on defense? In both cases, you should always be taking walks, clearing your head, even if for no other reason than concentrating on these folks is not easy. When you're going around the table and you've been playing 5 or 6 hours and you've thrown away 14 hands in a row, you'll find yourself throwing your cards away and then watching her and then watching him, and then somewhere around here, you've wandered off. When that happens, it means it's time to take a break and you're thinking it's time to go home. So focus your image, concentrate on the players in the game. Remember, the most important player in the game is you. Make your hand decision based upon all of these things. What is your image? Are you going to try and run a bluff when you're hopelessly getting beaten on all night long? No one will believe it. The time to do that is when your image is favorable for it. Betting pace, betting stakes. If the pace is 500 miles an hour and you're trying to bluff, nobody's even going to notice. They're too busy doing it themselves. So all of these things you take into account. Also, those books. Make sure you're honest with you at all times. Now let's get down to some of the other things. This is what dictates what kinds of hands we play in addition to that. Your position, it's enormous. I can't overstress that. If you play your position well and you manage your money well, there aren't a whole lot of other things you really need to be able to do to where you will have a chance to be a good, solid, winning player. No limit as opposed to limit. Very different. No limit is a game where you're looking to trap somebody and take their whole stack in one play. You're not trying to chip away and look for advantages and slight edges the way you are in limit. So that means you want to play solid, positively, and aggressively. Aggressive play in poker is a huge asset. Not to the point where you're steaming and throwing your money around, but for selected reasons. And those are the ones you're basing it on. Who am I playing against? This is back to the profile. What is my image at the time? Am I going to make a strong, solid, aggressive play when I have a draw against somebody that will play back at me with any kind of hand at all? No, of course not, because all I'm doing is giving myself no chance to make the draw and putting more money in a pot that I really don't necessarily have locked up at that stage of the game. So all of these things, once again, factor into every different game you're playing, but in no limit, you're in a situation where you always are in jeopardy of losing all your chips in one hand. So gauge that against who you're playing. Thank you for watching. I'm Roger Rod, and I'm your poker expert for Professorate.com.